What's going on, guys? It's your boy Damian Bunting. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 benefits of older white belts like myself going to open mats. But to be quite honest, these 5 benefits can actually help anybody. There's a lot of conversation online about open mats, whether or not people should partake or whether they're a good thing. There's a varying degree of people's opinion on this. I actually had the great experience and opportunity to go to my first open mat this past weekend. And I got to tell you guys, it was an absolutely amazing experience. I had a great time. Everybody was super inviting, super helpful, super informative. I have 0 negative things to say about it, but I want to give you those 5 benefits and also talk about a couple of things that you really should look out for if you decide to go down this path. So thanks for being a part of my white belt journey. Let's get right into it. So before we go any further, there are a few things to consider. Number 1 would be the ability to even do open mats. I know what you're thinking. I'm a grown man. What the hell do you mean the ability to do open mats? Well, you would be surprised because I was absolutely shocked to find out that some schools, based on your contractual agreement, do not allow you to go to open mats at other gyms, other clubs, or other facilities. I was absolutely taken aback by this. Now, if you've agreed to a contract and you're at a school that you want to remain a part of, more than likely you're going to have to adhere to that. So just keep that in mind, that maybe you should ask before you decide to go down that road. The second thing is to be very aware that every school has a different culture. Now, truth be told, I've actually trained at 3 gyms, if you count the one that I went to this past weekend. I started out at 10th Planet back in 2020, and now I currently train at Team Quest. In both of these gyms, although they're very famous programs and they're very storied programs with a great history, they really couldn't be more different than each other. One is a no-gi gym that's all about submission hunting. And then the other one is very wrestling centric with a long history of MMA. So when you go to these gyms for open mat, it's important to recognize that you might be going to a gym that has a completely different culture than what you're used to. My advice, as somebody who's new to this as well, is just try and get a feel for what the culture is. Like, see how they want you to address the black belts. Are you in a position as a white belt to even roll with upper belts? Is there a certain area of the mat or a certain lane that you're supposed to stay in while you're there? All of these little things that go along with the unspoken rules of jiu-jitsu that we all find out the hard way. Just ask questions before you get on the mat and try and understand that no matter where you are, it might be completely different than where you've been. So my 5 benefits of going. Number 5 is going to be live rolling and endurance. I'm older. I'm new to this. I'm out of shape, I hate to admit. And so one of the things that I've noticed going to my normal gym, my normal school, is that when you're taking fundamental classes, you're learning 1 to 2 techniques per day. And while you're being taught those techniques, you're then drilling those techniques, and then maybe you're doing live rolling anywhere from 2 to 3, sometimes even 5 rounds. But in the big scheme of things, that's not really a lot of time for you to get mat endurance. Getting on a treadmill, exercising, working out, all of that is great for overall health and overall fitness. But there's a difference between the endurance that it takes to survive on the mat. I have found that by just going to these open mats, you have a better opportunity in the hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, however long they have them, to just get more rolls in. Even if you're doing like I did this past weekend and taking rounds off, just the ability to get in 10 rolls in a setting, that's something that I haven't been able to do yet based on my circumstances. So for me, that was really helpful. And I kind of think moving forward, it'll be more helpful to try and get me to a position where I'm better developing that on the mat cardio that's so needed. One of the things that I've recognized the most in trying to learn this sport in the short amount of time that I've been doing it, it's really hard to focus on the details. And if you're a part of jiu-jitsu, you know there's so many details that you can't really focus on that when you're having a hard time just breathing and staying alive. So for me, that number 5 thing is just the opportunity to get more live rolls, more live rounds to try and help benefit that endurance. Number 4 is going to be the fact that it's a different environment. Now, I think that putting yourself in situations where you're in different environments it has to be good for your development, because what we're ultimately going to be doing, there's one of two things. Well, let's say there's three things, right? Aside from the personal development, personal well-being that we get from doing this sport, some people are going to compete. And if you're going to compete, you're going to be coming up against people from different cultures, from different environments, from different types of schools and teams. If you're putting yourself in that environment right from the very beginning, this kind of gives you a leg up in terms of being more comfortable in that environment. You're more comfortable with the unknown. And I think that could be of great benefit. The third thing is that a lot of us are doing this for personal protection, for self-protection, to be better able to or more comfortable if we're in a physical confrontation out on the street. And in that situation, you have zero idea what you're up against. So putting yourself in a situation or a circumstance where you're rolling with people that you don't know in a different environment, you don't know their style, you don't know what they're bringing to the mat, I can only imagine that that's going to be beneficial. Number three kind of piggybacks off of that last point, and it's going to be new partners. When you go to your normal home gym, you see the same people all the time, right? The dedicated people that are at your gym are going to be at every class that you're at. They're going to be at every open mat that you have at your own school. And ultimately, you kind of start to learn what people do. Just in the short amount of time that I've been going to the facility that I'm going to, I know that this person rolls more aggressive. This person's a little bit more laid back. I know that this person is always going for, leg submissions or upper body submissions. This person, he's heavier, he's bigger. He just wants to grind it out and kind of wear you down. You can tailor what to do and what not to do in your own gym based off of what you know about the people that you're rolling with. You go to these open mats, again, there's a level of unknown. And so for that, you're able to see, you're able to get looks at, and you're able to try different things in a situation where everybody doesn't know each other. Number two, and this is going to be something that's more for me, is that it's less judgmental. Now, before I go any further, let me just say this. I have never had one negative experience in any gym that I've ever trained at. Definitely the place where I am now, extremely inviting, extremely helpful, extremely motivating. I, like a lot of people that I've seen online, suffer from social anxiety and I suffer from functional depression. It is very easy for me to get down on myself, to have a poor outlook of my performance, a poor outlook of my ability, to kind of take that woe is me mentality. When you go to a different gym that you're not a part of and you don't normally train at, it kind of gives you a little bit more autonomy. It gives you a little bit more of an ability to just kind of fade in the background, try some things, or even just work on some of the basics and fail without having what you think is going to be the judgment of the people that are around you. Now, again, this is not to say that the place that I am or any place that I've ever trained has ever had a negative view of me or given me anything other than positive affirmations about what I'm doing or what I'm trying to accomplish. But internally, that's something that I deal with. So putting myself in a little bit of a different environment where maybe there's not that pressure that I'm putting on myself can also help me get more out of what I'm doing and ultimately develop at a better pace. The number one thing for me has got to be availability. Now, I personally work anywhere from 12 to 16 hours. I can work around 60 hours or a little bit more than that. And so my ability to get to different classes, it can change at the drop of a hat. I really like the fact that if schools are offering open mats, they tend to be on weekends. Sometimes they tend to be a little bit later in the evening or maybe even first thing in the morning. So I can't get better, or even get better endurance if I'm only going 2 classes a week. So the ability to maybe get 2 more classes that can supplement any class that I might miss, I think that's an absolute godsend. Now, again, you don't want to substitute your training. You don't want to substitute those fundamental classes or substitute those beginner classes where you're learning technique and you're learning all of the ins and outs and intricacies. But to supplement, if you can't get in on a normal schedule, I think that's a great opportunity. I've seen a lot of the places here in Portland, Vancouver, the surrounding areas. Again, they're offering these open mats kind of at weird, awkward, janky times. And I think that they're doing that specifically to get more people to come into those that can't make it to their normal classes. So for someone with a crazy schedule, that's very, very good for me. Now, all of this being said, there are some things to look out for. I don't want to necessarily call these a negative, but it's something that I've kind of taken note of, and I think that you should too if you're in a similar situation. You have to understand that if you're going to open mats, you're not the only person that's found out about that. And the reason why I bring that up is that there's a lot of younger guys, there's a lot of headhunters, there's a lot of sharks out there who want to go to an open mat and rip off the newest skill or submission that they saw on YouTube or Instagram. I personally, and I'm assuming you don't either, want to be on the receiving end of some shit like that when you got to go to work the next day. So keep in mind that no matter where you go, it's a different culture. There's different people there, and everybody is there for their own interest and what they're looking to get out of that open mat. Be very open about your boundaries. Be very open about the things that you want to participate in, not participate in, and try to find people that have a little bit more control for you to roll with. If you're in an environment where you can roll with upper belts, I would do that. The location that I went to this past Sunday, I rolled with white belts, blue belts, purple belts, brown belts, all the way up to the black belt lead instructor. Everyone did a great job of protecting me and protecting themselves. But again, that's not the culture everywhere. I would really be aware that the potential for you to get into a situation where someone spazzes out or rips a submission on you that could really do a lot of damage, it's there. And that's one of the risks that you take by going into these situations. So be aware of that and protect yourself at all times. The last thing, and I don't know how true this is, I have seen some videos on YouTube where people are talking about schools that are utilizing the open mat situation or scenario to recruit people into their school from other schools. Now, I'm of the firm belief that no one can steal someone who's not looking to leave. I'm extremely happy in the school that I'm at. There was no attempt to try and get me to switch over or change my affiliation. However, if that's the case, at the end of the day, you're going to go where you're going to go and you're going to do what you want to do. I just wanted to talk about this because I have seen this as being an issue with certain people who are creating content on this subject, and they're talking about the issues of impropriety and bad business practices and people pulling one student from another school. If you're not into this at a deep enough level, that might seem kind of silly, but in all reality, people are paying thousands of dollars to attend Jiu-Jitsu for the year. And if one business can pull someone to another business, that can actually hurt the business of the original school, and it benefits the school where people end up coming over to. So it is an actual business concern from that side. I can understand it. I can see it. So just be aware of that. But then again, at the end of the day, you guys are all grown adults and you're going to do what you're going to do. So what I would love to know is what your thoughts are. Do you feel that utilizing the open gym or the open mat concept, is that a good thing? Would you go? Do you go? Or do you think that this is something that you should shy away from and only train at your specific school? Please comment down below. And while you're at it, why don't you guys like, share, and subscribe and become a part of the platform that we're building here? I would love to have you, and I would love to have your feedback. All right, you guys be great. Take care.